This is disproving his point right here. He's got 150 handgun rounds. He's got, you know, he's got 52 shotgun rounds. He's got over 30 rifle rounds. The only thing he's kind of low on is TMP. I wouldn't be shocked if chat's admitting to being DSP again. Yeah, I love Resident Evil 4, but it's not a hard game. It's not a survival horror game. They're also shills, so you can't listen to a shill's opinion in good faith. Let's watch the first 5 minutes of 4 reviews of different games called Resident Evil 4 by Cyril Vasquez. Okay.
This video contains spoilers for Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4,
Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4.
This is not Resident Evil 4. It's an adaptation of the 2005 GameCube game Resident Evil 4. The way Final Fantasy VII Remake is an adaptation of Final Fantasy VII. The way Metroid Samus Returns is an adaptation of Metroid 2. It's an entirely new game that takes inspiration from an original product, creates something new, and just happens to share a name.
I believe they call that a reimagining.
Great, but they don't make me feel like I'm playing the original. It's like if a film class assigned you to watch the 1981 movie The Evil Dead, and you watch the 2013 movie Evil Dead instead.
I don't mean to, you know, be an ass, but we have a term for this already called reimagining. There are a lot of, you know, game remakes that have done that. But yes, I agree with the sentiment.
You can't have a conversation with someone who's only experienced the other version.
Zoomers would highly disagree with you. In fact, I would say many modern gamers would argue if you watched a Let's Play, you played the game. Unfortunately. That's the state of the gaming industry.
It's not the same thing. Resident Evil 4 is not Resident Evil 4. I don't say that as a slight. I say that because conversations about video game re-releases, remasters, and remakes usually come down to whether or not we're talking about the definitive version. Whether the new release will become the version to play from then on. And for a lot of people, whether the Resident Evil 4 remake is definitive will come down to how it modernizes, by ultimately flattening, the most interesting parts of the 2005 GameCube.
I know this is probably, you know, to make a point in the video, but I hate looking at like, oh, this is like OG GameCube or PS2. Like, just show high resolution footage. I get it. I get it for effect.
I don't blame the remake for that. It's not just because this remake is so clearly something different. It's because over the last 18 years, as the original 2005 GameCube game Resident Evil 4 influenced multiple generations of video games and was re-released, remastered, and remade, we've come to collectively misremember Resident Evil 4.
I did not misremember, and I think this is maybe giving a little bit too much credit that a lot of the people actually played the original. I mean, I would say yes, the shills did, but they're also shills, so you can't listen to a shill's opinion in good faith. Someone who played both versions, who is really a fan of the original one, will tell you what's different about the new one. Your memory isn't that bad unless you really weren't a fan to begin with. Like you played it one time 20 years ago and vaguely remember it. That's not a fan.
And every time another game called Resident Evil 4 comes out, we twist our memory of it even more. Resident Evil was, for a long time, a series about unlocking a spooky puzzle box as you desperately fought for your life against zombies. That's not Resident Evil 4. Instead, Resident Evil 4 is about the pressure of shooting your way out of difficult situations. Shooting enemies is the whole point of Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, I feel like I already know where this critique is going. And yeah, I've made this statement myself too, where it's like parrying kind of flips the whole thing on its head. All the gameplay mechanics center around aiming and shooting, which is why you have a laser sight to begin with.
Your view of the game is almost always behind Leon Kennedy's back, and rather than simply pointing whatever gun you're toting at the nearest zombie and hoping for the best, you are responsible for where your shots land. That technically makes Resident Evil 4 a shooter, a genre where action is the main focus. That shift towards action, as well as the over-the-shoulder perspective that went on to define most high-budget video games that came after it, is what the game is remembered for. In 2005, that was pretty concerning for people who appreciated Resident Evil as a horror series. How can you be afraid when you can just shoot your way out of every situation? Capcom didn't abandon survival horror with Resident Evil 4. It completely redefined where the horror in survival horror comes from by perfectly tuning.
Well, okay, that part's a little debatable. I feel like Dead Space, and to a slightly lesser extent Dead Space 2, maintained horror with the action subgenre much better than Resident Evil 4 did, but yes, Resident Evil 4 still has a horror atmosphere. I agree with that, but it's more of an action game for sure.
Every aspect of this game to blend horror with action. Resident Evil 4 is a shooter, but it wants you to think about when and where you shoot. Despite all the emphasis on action, the game still uses tank controls, which means you turn your character and move forward separately. People chalk this movement style up as being groundbreaking at the time, but outdated now. But that's not completely true. Third and first-person shooters of the time were more nimble than we give them credit for. Plenty of them let you move and shoot at the same time, and plenty of others let you zoom in while doing so. Resident Evil 4 stands apart by restricting you. It's hard to turn and move at the same time, and you have to stop moving to shoot. It took some getting used to both then and now, especially because the GameCube controller is a weird thing to play a shooter on. You aim with the R button and fire with A, which feels strange, but that also requires...
Well, this is a nitpick. This is a nitpick, obviously, but I'm pretty sure most people played this on PS2 at the time. The GameCube only sold 20 million units. It was by pretty much all accounts a failure of a console, even though I like the GameCube. But yeah, I think much more people played it on PS2.
You to make more calculated decisions, not just reflexive ones. If an enemy is coming at you with an axe, you could just shoot them, but if you're surrounded, turning around, running away for a couple of seconds to...
Okay, is it? No! I played it on... You know, that's how women argue, right? But the average height of a woman is 5'6", but I'm 5'9". Some of you in chat just did that unironically. Holy shit. It's actually over for synthetic chat.
Reposition yourself, then turning around again and then shooting is probably the way to go. Doing that is a more involved process with a more complex...
Yeah, it was GameCube exclusive for 1 year. Only 20 million people had a GameCube. Over 100 million at the time had a PS2.
Series of inputs than in other games. The laser sight on most of your guns is another point of tension. The large bright red dot that lets you know you'll hit something sways uncontrollably. So waiting for just a moment could mean landing a long-distance shot with your handgun. But at what point do you admit you're going to need the sniper rifle to pull it off, assuming you don't get an axe to the face first? Can you even see the red dot from that far away?
Yeah, that's kind of a problem with, like, the shittier resolutions, or maybe just even having a smaller size TV compared to, like, modern displays, is that it would be a little bit harder to see. But, like, on modern resolutions, the laser sight is perfect. You can see everything.
Guns feel good to shoot in Resident Evil 4, but not...
I hate looking at this low resolution footage, though. Like, I feel like maybe he did it on purpose to prove a point in the video, but it's like, just play it on PC or whatever modern console with modern resolutions.
Not always because they're efficient. The first sniper rifle you can buy is incredibly powerful and has a stupendous reload animation. But you also have to watch Leon helplessly load individual rounds. The TMP can deal massive damage quickly, but the kick on it is so bad you all but have to buy a stock to keep its aim in place. You can't switch weapons on the fly either, so you have to make a conscious decision about when you're going to use each gun. All of these touchstones for the game, the controls, the wavering aim, the major downsides of each gun, don't make Resident Evil 4 the smoothest, most optimal shooter.
It really doesn't take long, though, for the downsides to be virtually gone, you know? I mean, you can get the semi-auto rifle as soon as you get to the castle, if I recall correctly, and that thing is OP as shit. I mean, honestly, semi-auto rifle is always, like, it's almost always the best gun in the action Resident Evil games, because it's just one-hit headshots normal enemies.
But instead introduce friction and tension, and push you to make interesting decisions with real trade-offs, and, most importantly, feel like a Resident Evil game. Overcoming its challenges meant learning a unique language. And sure, moving around and shooting might be a little more complicated than we were used to from a shooter in 2005, but properly maneuvering around these spaces to avoid getting hit and wasting as little ammo as possible makes you feel smart and empowered while keeping the game firmly planted in the realm of horror. You do get more ammo than in other Resident Evil games, but that doesn't disqualify Resident Evil 4 from being a horror game. Ammo is a limited resource that's on your mind constantly, and it's...
Wait, let me go back. Did he unironically say ammo is limited in Resident Evil 4? Hold on. Okay, wait a minute. Did I mishear that?
You do get more ammo than in other Resident
Okay, yeah, okay.
Evil games, but that doesn't disqualify Resident Evil 4 from being a horror game. Ammo is a limited resource that's on your mind constantly.
Okay, that's not true, though. That's not true, though. Because of adaptive difficulty, whenever you're low on ammo, you know enemies will drop ammo no matter what. On professional difficulty, obviously, that's less true, but I don't think I've ever run out of ammo in Resident Evil 4. I don't think it's ever happened. I don't even think the first time I played the game it happened.
And it's just scarce enough, and your inventory space just limited enough, that you make decisions based on how much ammo you have.
Nope. I've never done that. Literally never happened. I don't think okay, the Magnum. The Magnum you don't want to waste, okay? But every other gun, nah. No. If I need the shotgun here, switch the shotgun, use it. I need the rifle here, switch the rifle, use it. No.
Case in point, your knife. You mostly use it to slash open boxes and barrels, but you can save ammo by slicing enemies with it. It's a risk though, because aiming the knife is slow and it takes around 10 slashes to kill an enemy. And you can't really see if enemies are sneaking up on you.
I'm lying. I've streamed this game twice. I think multiple times I've had literally a full inventory like you showed in the video. But you don't run low on ammo in this game unless you're just a bad shot, which I wouldn't be shocked if chat's admitting to being DSP again, but you know, I'm just saying.
You have lots of ammo. You have to figure out where you're going to put it all, and you have to make hard choices like whether one hand grenade is worth 2 eggs, or whether you should reload your sniper.
Well, yeah, but doesn't this prove the opposite point though? Like, if your inventory is so full that you have to take shit out of it to fit the RPG in, like, this is disproving his point right here. He's got 150 handgun rounds. He's got, he's got 52 shotgun rounds. He's got over 30 rifle rounds. The only thing he's kind of low on is TMP. This is not ammo management.
Eggs, or whether you should reload your sniper rifle when an expensive magazine upgrade that comes with free rounds is just around the corner. Resident Evil 4 also puts you in situations where your ammo doesn't really matter. The first major fight in the village is one of the most talked about encounters in any video game. By this point in most playthroughs, you're still getting the hang of the controls and don't have a ton of ammo.
Alright, hold on. I was only supposed to watch the first 5 minutes, I'm assuming just because it was like a reimagining argument. This is just turning into a review of the original Resident Evil 4, which I'm assuming he's going to compare. Okay, yeah, he reviews Wii HD Edition. I used to not be this guy. I don't know what that means. Maybe something to do with the remakes. Review of the VR version. Review of the remake. And I guess talking about the issue with thinking there's a definitive edition of a game or something. I don't know. I don't need to watch a review of Resident Evil 4. I love Resident Evil 4. I played it, I don't know, like 10 times probably. Yeah, I love Resident Evil 4, but it's not a hard game. It's not a survival horror game. It's an action horror game, but it's not a survival horror game because there's no survival mechanics other than managing HP. I guess that's the survival, but it usually gives you a lot of healing too. But ammo is not a concern in this game. Healing can be if you don't know what you're doing for sure, or you just fuck up a couple times, unprofessional. You can use all your healing. Ammo though, no. Guys, I think I'm gonna eat dinner, and then we're probably gonna play. We're gonna play the Mind's Eye DLC. I forgot what we were even doing this stream.